so that we would gain the complexity without gaining the wood. And then we'll take between 10 and 20%, depending upon the vintage. We'll stainless steel ferment and just leave it in stainless steel to retain the fruit. And the balance will tank ferment and then move to barrels, 1, 2, and 3-year-old barrels for 6 to 8 weeks. And then we'll blend them all together and bottle them up. We'll have about average 10% Semillon and about 4% Sauvignon Muscat, which is a kind of a spicy version of Sauvignon Blanc. And in Napa Valley, we're blessed with sunshine. And so we want to show off nice ripe fruit. Nice to me, nice melon, nice grapefruit, a little bit of citrus. Nice weight in the palate, but a fine finish. And so there's no harshness to it. And so that's that night harvest picking and whole cluster pressing just gives you it's like almost like silk. And so this is kind of our signature style, our white wines. We want this. And also it's different from Southern Hemisphere Sauvignon Blancs. Is this wine tastes nice when it's young, but also tastes nice 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I can pour 2005 Sauvignon Blanc, and it's an amazing wine. Very different than this, but also shows nice freshness, nice complexity. And so this is what we're looking for. Our Sauvignon Blancs, nice when they drink young, but also be able to show up in complexity. When you're getting into older white wines, to me, is then you can serve it in a meal that maybe can withstand more complexity. To me, this is really want to not overcrop our Sauvignon Blanc vineyard, so we get good, ripe maturity, so we're not into those green characters, because those I think will show as the wines age. And so we're really working with the most elegant fruit and treating it very gently to be able to show it that off. And so it starts out in the vineyards to be able to get that kind of characteristic. This Semillon is always going to add to me kind of this fig component, a little bit of mineral component. Also, Semillon always has lower acidity, and so it's similar to the same analogies how you blend Merlot into Cabernet to soften the tannins. You use Semillon to kind of round out the Sauvignon Blanc. So we think this is always good. Chardonnay is our most popular wine. Napa Valley Chardonnay is our most popular wine. I was in London Tuesday night, and we poured our 1999 version of our Napa Valley Chardonnay. 11 years old, and so it's really a great joy to be able to show that off. We don't sell what we call library wines, but we just bring them out for dinner just to enjoy. And that way the customer can understand, oh, okay, I taste this now. It tastes nice, kind of ripe apple, a little bit of pear, a little bit of white peach, you know, some green apple. And so I see this, what's this going to look like? And so we can give them a sneak preview of this is how these wines will age. So we've been making Chardonnay for 38 years now. We're starting to get a good handle what vintages are going to age quite gracefully, which ones should drink sooner. And so to me it's always a tendency, if it's a warm vintage, wines are going to show very, very lush when they're young, really ripe fruit. Drink those when they're younger. And then the cooler vintages you can lay down for a little bit longer. Yep. And because they're going to also show a little bit leaner when they're young. So each one's a little bit different. So with Chardonnay, we want to show off, again, this pretty green apple, a little bit of pear characteristics, nice weight, but again, that signature style, really a fineness in the finish. We're going to show nice complexity of the wood, but still be able to have it balanced with fruit. We don't want it to get too heavy. We want that kind of freshness, but not be limey tart or too citrus. And so we want to make a Chardonnay that shows a signature of Napa Valley. And in Napa Valley, almost 95% of all the vintners make a Cabernet. Napa Valley is known for Cabernets. But also what's exciting is with the Canaros region, being in the southern region, closer to the bay, cooler, we can grow what we think is world-class Chardonnays as well. So 8 or 10-year plus old Chardonnay kind of puts you in that group. You may or may not like it, that's up to you. But at least we're able to show that off. And so that to me is what makes Napa Valley also unique. And that you know, we're known for variety, but also we can play on the world-class scale in other varieties. And so you kind of like, well, what other regions around the world do that? There's not too many. And so to me, this is what I think helps make Napa unique. When I taste red wines, especially Cabernet or Merlot, I always like to break them up into black fruits and red fruits. This is just for me. When we're writing comments, I always write them only for myself. If someone looked at them and just like, Bruce, that looks like gibberish. It's like, well, that's fine, but I only wrote it for myself. And so I look at black fruits. This can be coffee, it can be like black tea, it can be chocolate, you know, it can be blackberry, plum. Then you get into kind of red fruits like black cherry, blackberry. Then you get into red fruits, you know, strawberries or raspberries, and you're working all the way down there. So that's what we're looking in that regard. And then with red wines, you know, to me, there's always nice to have a balance of palate and aromas. But in the flavors, we want to really work hard on balancing the fruit and the tannins. And so this is what we want to show off there. And that all ties in with fermentation temperature, and then your cold soaking and adapting to each vintage. We always start out kind of with a clean slate. And what we've learned over the last couple of years, starting with the 05 vintage, is do a small amount, like a test run, before you go and pick that whole section. And just see what's going to happen. We'll do it for hillside vineyards, upper valley floor vineyards, lower valley floor vineyards, and so that each one is its own sort of puzzle to unlock. And you're always adapting, because what happens at the beginning of like Cabernet harvest might be different than what happens at the end of Cabernet harvest. Sure, yeah. And when you get to the equinox, that changes your day shortened down. Grape ripening is very, very different than it was the week before, and so you need to adapt again. So you're always changing, and that's a very, very fast time, very, very exciting time, because what was true maybe last week is not true this week in terms of how you're going to treat your ferments, how much you're going to pump over, when you're going to press out. Yeah. So we're always adapting in that, so we're working really hard on it to try and get that balance of tannins and fruit. And then from that, then we'll blend some Merlots and Cabernet Franc in there to also add some complexity and balance. But what we'll do is we'll ferment everything, let it go through malolactic in the barrel, and we'll put together our blends. Like we're working on 2009 blends now. We'll put together things that we think will go together like this, and we'll come up with maybe 3 blends, and then maybe one might have a little bit more tannins. We'll find those with some egg whites. Others have nice fruit. This one, you know, we might end up selling as bulk wine because we don't do a second label, and then blend from there. Should age quite well. Always look at Cabernets. For us, Napa Valley Cabernets in that 7 to 12 years, nice conservative range, and that allows for how the wines are handled all the way through. And we think that's a good range, and they show nice complexity at that time, but also still staying fresh, and kind of goes with a wide range of foods. At 2 sides of the valley, and so this will be from the western side, and in between Oakville and Rutherford, right at the base of the hills, is where this wine comes from. And so in the old days, it was called the Rutherford Bench, and then they started creating these AVAs or appellations, and so you can't use that name anymore, but still the region's the same. So this one is a little bit different in that it's 100% Cabernet. Okay. And so which comes from 2 different vineyards. One is our own in Rutherford, we call it Hill Ranch, right at the base of the hills. Again, you get the sun coming over. You get a coolness in the afternoon off the trees and off that hill. Also, the soils, you know, been sloughing off of the hillsides, you know, over hundreds of years or thousands of years. So that part of the valley is raised up a little bit. Hence the name benchland. And so you get loamy soils, but really well-drained soils. As it goes down the river, it's less well-drained. But right at the base, you get well-drained soils, but also very rich soils. So these will be some of the last vineyards that we pick. But we want to show off kind of this nice elegance, nice, just pure Cabernet, and so it's kind of fun to show that off. So the benchlands, it would be like a reserve. We only make like about 1,200 cases of it, and so we're always happy to supply, but it is a little bit higher in price in that regard. So you know, it's not like it's gonna. Because usually, kind of someone's like, "Oh, I want to try that. You know, enjoy the Napa. Let me try this." And so it also shows that we make one from our High Mountain Vineyard as well, so we can show mountainside versus kind of valley floor. 2 great areas for Cabernet, very, very different. Yeah.